Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. This is episode 1 of a new playlist that I'm going to do called Church and World News, where we're going to look at news in the church and news throughout the world, whether it's natural disasters, war, or other notable events. So we're going to start this off with this story on church news. President Nelson issues special personal invitations to youth and young adults. And essentially, he invited all the youth to go to seminary. That's essentially what the call was to attend seminary. I don't know that I've ever seen a message like this before from the prophet asking the youth to join seminary. So that by itself is interesting. But there's a part of this article I want to read. It says, to the youth, he said, quote, seminary will help you to know your Savior, Jesus Christ, and deepen your conversion to him and to his restored gospel. What else can happen? In seminary, you can begin to learn how to receive personal revelation, which it's interesting that he brings that up because that's been one of his themes during his presidency is the importance of receiving personal revelation, especially in the days to come if you're going to survive spiritually. So it makes sense, especially talking to the youth. All right, continuing. And what a difference that will make in your life. Your desire to be an active part of the Lord's Youth Battalion to gather Israel will increase. And that's what I wanted to just kind of highlight. I watched the rest of the video. There wasn't anything else that I'd want to share on the channel. But, he's continuing with this concept of the Lord's Youth Battalion. If you're new to the channel or you haven't heard of this, the Lord's Youth Battalion, this is a concept that was first introduced in a worldwide youth devotional called Hope of Israel. And it was with President Nelson and Sister Nelson. And it's something that he is taking very seriously. It's not just like a cute phrase or something to pump you up. It's like an actual, solid concept where he's asking the youth to be part of the Lord's Youth Battalion to help gather Israel. I'm thinking about maybe trying to find every single time that he's used that phrase just to see how many times he's said it during his presidency, but he brings it up quite a bit. Here's my spreadsheet showing the age groups at the time of the worldwide youth devotional. And so basically who you had there were those that were born in the year 2000 to the year 2006. So the 12 to 18-year-olds in the year 2018. And this initial group, and this isn't, the only members of the Lord's Youth Battalion. It would include those born after these years, 2007, 8, 9, so on. But this is kind of like the first group that he addressed. And so basically what you have is those that were about 13 years old, they are currently going on their missions right now. And then the last group that was part of that devotional, they're going between now and next year. So we're getting toward the end of that. That's something that I'm kind of thinking about and keeping my mind on. I do want to share this really quick. Here's the last time, at least on my quotes Rising Generation spreadsheet, this is the last time that I have him as having said this. It was last year for Strength of Youth. It was a recorded message. This is the one where he talks about that we're in the last half of the 9th inning. And then at the end he says, and when you know who you really are, you'll have the courage to enlist in the Lord's Battalion to help gather Israel for the rest of your life. So anyway, just interesting. So let's go ahead and move on from there. This is on 7 Israel National News. And nothing really too noteworthy here. I was just kind of skimming through the news, but I saw this. It says Israel entered its 7th week of war, which has been dubbed Swords of Iron, on Saturday. So, we've been keeping track of these different things. Let me pull up the spreadsheet. We've been keeping this spreadsheet as we've been looking at these different kind of numbers converge. mostly on 2024. Like President Nelson's 7th year as president of the church he's currently in his 100th year of life. He's given 40 talks. Next General Conference on Sunday, he will enter his 40th year as an apostle. And then it's been 20 years since 2004 when a lot of these disasters really started to pick up, like wildfires and earthquakes and stuff like that. So this doesn't necessarily have to do with that, but it's interesting to note that we are entering the 7th week of this war. I don't know that it means anything. In my last video, we were talking about today being the 1335th day since the temples were closed in 2020. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go watch the last video. It has to do with Daniel 12. I don't know that this is the prophecy being fulfilled, but it's happening at a time that we're in the 7th week of this war. So I don't know. I guess we'll see if anything interesting happens today, but that's just an interesting thing to take note of. Okay, let's move on. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention this. This is from the user with handle beaman58, who says the eclipse April 8th, 2024 is also on the last day of the Hebrew year Adar 29. So that's also an interesting thing to take note of. So we just talked about the 7th of April. That's going to be when President Nelson enters his 40th year as an apostle. And the day after is the day of the eclipse that goes over the Sacred Grove in Kirtland, Ohio. Well, yeah, something that I didn't notice before. It is the 2nd of Adar. So the Hebrew calendar has 4 New Years. The one that we would think of as a new year, where you go from one year to another and you change the date, you change the number of the year, is actually Rosh Hashanah. But on the Hebrew calendar, they count that as the 7th month. Okay, but that's when they change the date. So the first month is Nisan. Okay, and the month before that is Adar. In this case, in this Hebrew year, it's Adar 2 because it's a leap year. Just like how we have leap years where we have to add an entire month. So you have Adar 1 and Adar 2. But whatever the case, the Hebrew year in this sense, when you're talking about first, second, third month, and so on, the last month ends on the day of the eclipse. So that's another really interesting thing to note. Okay. Let's move on. Here, this is the progress that's been made by the IDF in Gaza. I've noticed that they don't have this area highlighted anymore. I thought last time we looked, it was like solid blue through here, but anyway, it still has blue over the Al-Shifa hospital, which is the command center for Hamas. But anyway, this is what this looks like. There's this interesting development here. I don't remember this last time we looked, how he had this blue extend this far toward the center of the city. Because it looks like the center of the city, Gaza City, is right about here. So it looks like they've made progress in moving toward the center. So we got that. This is as of November 20th. We have this one from War Mapper. This is from Friday, November 17th, where they had it blue all the way through here. They didn't show that gap. They show a little bit of progress or a little bit of advancement toward the center of the city. But anyway, this was Friday. It's according to War Mapper. I tend to believe that the Institute for the Study of War probably has better data when they're compiling their maps. So, but here's the 2 maps to think about and consider. Okay. Now, if you watched my video from yesterday, there was this attack that took place. And it took me by surprise. It happened while I was preparing the video where I talked about it. And from my observations, my own personal observations, it was the largest rocket attack that I had seen to that point. And what I wanted to know is if it was in fact the largest rocket attack. I've searched. I haven't found any articles that say that it is, but there is this account, OSINT Defender. They're pretty good with their information. And they say interceptions by Iron Dome seen in the sky over Tel Aviv as one of the largest scale rocket attacks since the war began is currently ongoing. So I don't know. If I find out that that was the biggest rocket attack, I'll let you know. But it's just nice to see that somebody else backing that up, that it was a very, very sizable attack that happened. I mean, this is really big. All right, let's move on from that. This is an interesting thing that happened. A lot of people have this video. Yemen's Houthi rebels hijack a cargo ship in the Red Sea over the weekend. And this looks like something from a movie or Call of Duty or Battlefield or something like that. This doesn't look like real life, but it is. They took this ship. This is the Houthis out of Yemen. All right. Associated Press, Yemen's Houthi rebels hijack an Israeli-linked ship in the Red Sea and take 25 crew members hostage. Jerusalem. Yemen's Houthi rebels seized an Israeli-linked cargo ship in a crucial Red Sea shipping route Sunday and took its 25 crew members hostage, officials said, raising fears that regional tensions heightened over the Israel-Hamas war were playing out on a new maritime front. Now, I don't know if you remember, but the Houthis had already fired ballistic missiles from Yemen toward Israel. They were intercepted, but they essentially said that they're joining the war, or at least they're really, really supporting it. So they've launched those rockets at Israel. There's been some drones. And now we have this that just happened. They took over a ship that's linked to Israel. All right, continuing with the article. Quote, all ships belonging to the Israeli enemy or that deal with it will become legitimate targets, the Houthis said. Mohammed Abdul Salam, the Houthis' chief negotiator and spokesman, later added in an online statement that the Israelis only understand, quote unquote, the language of force. Continuing with the quote, the detention of the Israeli ship is a practical step that proves the seriousness of the Yemeni armed forces in waging the sea battle, regardless of its costs. And costs. I don't know if that's a typo. This is the beginning. Well, okay. If you say so, what else are you going to do? I mean, are you actually going to send troops to Israel? What do you mean by that? Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office had blamed the Houthis for the attack on the Bahamas Flag Galaxy Leader, a vehicle carrier affiliated with an Israeli billionaire. It said no Israelis were on board. So that's great. You're not even from Israel. You're from some other country, just doing business, carrying out the, commerce, and you get attacked because the ship is linked to an Israeli billionaire. Here's a picture of the ship, the Galaxy Leader. So everyone pray for those hostages that they'll be okay and return home to their loved ones. That's a really sucky situation. I saw this post by Steve Lookner. He's the one that does Agenda Free TV on YouTube. I would encourage you to watch him. I really like Steve. He posted this. This is from The Economist. Northern Gaza, quote unquote, is probably uninhabitable for years. Now that is believable to me, because I don't know if you've seen photos of Gaza, but they have leveled large portions of the city, of Gaza City and other cities. Many, many buildings have been destroyed. So it just makes me okay, because like we haven't seen this scale of destruction in Gaza. I don't think in its history. Don't quote me on that, but definitely not in modern history. Which, when we look at things like that, it pushes things closer and closer and closer to red lines. And I think that that's what Iran and Hezbollah and other groups are waiting for, so that they have as much justification as possible to attack Israel after Israel's done, all this damage. But according to The Economist, Gaza is probably uninhabitable for years, northern Gaza. And then, like I've heard some analysts say on I-24 TV Israel, once they're done in the north, they're going to go south. They're going to get all of Hamas that went south with all the civilians. They're going to go after them too. I don't know that there would be as much destruction in the south, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So that's interesting. Here's the article. I'm not subscribed to The Economist. If you are, then great. I'll put the link for this in the description below if you want to read the full story. What happens to Gaza after the war? Yeah, that is a good question. But another good question is this the final war? Because after the war, if this is the final war, it's going to be the millennium. So, yeah, okay. And then there was this from Hezbollah. In the last video, I was wondering if this was like a major escalation by Hezbollah, and therefore, is this going to take things to the next level between Israel and Hezbollah and Lebanon? IDF base in north damaged by rocket fire. Military hits Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Here's a video of that from SL Kanthan account on X. But this video is all over the place. Many different accounts are sharing it. So I looked it up. I wanted to see exactly where this was at. This is in an army base in Biranit or Biranit, and on Google Earth, it's right here. It's essentially right on the border with Lebanon. If this is correct, I'm using the coordinates that were provided by the Wikipedia article. It's hard to tell. I don't really see any like motor pools with like vehicles and stuff like that, like you would at a typical military installation. So I don't know anything really about this, but this is possibly where that army base is. So you can see, it's a pretty easy target just because of how close it is. Okay. Skirmishes between the IDF and Hezbollah continued Monday amid Israel's war against Hamas in the Gaza Strip, with the Iran-backed terror group firing rockets and launching drones at northern Israel, causing heavy damage to an army base in one of the attacks. Hezbollah has fired more than 1,000 rockets, mortars, missiles, and drones at Israel since October 8th, a day after the Gaza war erupted, according to Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. Monday's skirmishes began unusually with the IDF striking first. So that's the key bit of information there. I was thinking until I came across this article that Hezbollah had done this first, and therefore that would be more reason to escalate things, like for Israel to be like, okay, you know what, you just took it to the next level. But no, it looks like they were responding to the IDF. So this may not be, well, I don't know. This may not be a big escalation, what I originally thought. The military said it had shelled southern Lebanon with artillery, apparently to prevent terror cells from approaching the area to carry out attacks. A short while later, a number of rockets and mortars were fired from Lebanon at the northern communities of Arab, Al-Aramshi, and Baram, as well as the Biranit army base. No injuries were caused in the attacks, but heavy damage and a fire were caused at the Biranit base, footage showed. So, yes, definitely a lot of damage. that took place here. There was an account that was saying that the barracks were destroyed. I haven't been able to find anything that verifies that. But at the very least, there was a lot of damage at this installation. All right. And now I just want to go over some natural disasters that are taking place. Dominican Republic, at least 21 dead after storm brings torrential rain. And not only that, Dominican President Luis Abinader called it the, quote, largest rainfall event ever. We've been seeing a lot of that this year. A lot of like rain records that have been broken. And now, according to him, the Dominican Republic, the largest rainfall event ever in the country's history, following torrential storms over the past 48 hours. The Caribbean nation has been battered by torrential rainfall, with footage on social media showing torrents of water flowing through streets and washing away vehicles. And we're going to look at that right now, and it is really crazy. We saw a scene just like this where you had like multiple cars, almost as though it's like a car soup in Italy. That was as a result of Storm Kieran, is how you pronounce it. Well, this, as far as I can tell, there's not a named storm, but it's causing all this flooding, all these cars floating down the road. This is becoming a very common thing throughout the world, and I feel like it's a sign of the times. I really don't think there has been as much flash flooding like this in the past. I feel like this is new. Let me go over here. Looks like they're on a boat, and you can see all the flooding. Here's another one. It looks like that car has received some damage. It seemed like one of the tires were coming off on the driver's side, but bunch of cars floating away. Here's another one from the Chowdhury Parvez account. Moment when torrent of water burst into a building in Santo Domingo Este amid the rains and floods that affected the Dominican Republic on Saturday. Let's take it back to the beginning here. And boom. Just burst through the door. We've seen videos like this as well. People in stairwells and then water coming through at the bottom. Here's another one. More cars being swept away. Okay, another one. Wall collapsed from one of the underpass on an avenue in the capital of the Dominican Republic due to the heavy rains and flooding caused yesterday by the tropical disturbance in the Caribbean Sea. And I guess, yeah, that's a wall. So there were cars driving right there, and then the wall, or maybe they were parked. I don't know. I don't think so. And then this wall just fell down on them. Yeah, no, this car was in operation because the headlights are still on. So hopefully the people in those cars are okay. But that definitely could have injured or killed somebody. Some more cars being swept away. Hopefully there's nobody in that car, but you see the windshield wipers that are going. Santo Domingo is the capital. All right. Aftermath of the awful flooding in Santo Domingo. So you see a bunch of debris, pieces of the road all over the place, cars, rocks, garbage. And now there's this as well. And it seems that this is actually the same event. Okay. Tropical disturbance hits West Caribbean, causing floods in Jamaica and Haiti before dissipating. So before we look at those videos, here's what it looks like on the map. Let me head on over there. We'll leave Israel for now and come over here. So the locations that I am tracking have these blue place marks. We were just looking at the Dominican Republic. There was Santo Domingo, but there was also, I saw another location up here. This is Sanchez Ramirez. That's the name of that region. But it wasn't only that. It was also Haiti, which makes sense because it is the neighboring nation of the Dominican Republic, and then Jamaica, just right across the way over here. And the only place in Jamaica that I saw was Kingston. But all right. Anyway, in Kingston's the capital. Let's see. I don't think I had anything from that article, so let's just look at the videos. Cars submerged and possibly floating away or floating around. Here's a car that looks like somebody was driving and then they got caught in this flash flood because the lights are still on in that car. Here's another one. A pretty violent rushing of water coming from some source. I don't know. Let's go to this next one. This one, you can see the road. Part of it has collapsed. You have power lines that are down. And then some pictures from Caribbean News Network. Devastating floods and rainfall across several nations, including the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica. And then this post says parts of Colombia. I'm not going to put that on the map because I haven't seen like any news articles to really substantiate that, or I don't know how hard it hit Colombia. But anyway, continuing, the situation has left communities grappling with dangerous river crossings, mudslides, and the loss of lives. Okay, and now let's head over to Turkey. Severe storms in Turkey leave 9 dead. 11 are still missing after a cargo ship sank in the Black Sea. Ankara, Turkey. Severe storms and flooding have left 9 people dead across Turkey, officials said Monday, including 1 seaman who died when a cargo ship sank off Turkey's Black Sea coast. 11 other crew were reported missing. So we got Turkey as well. So this right here, just so you know, Jamaica, it seems that Jamaica and Haiti got hit first. It was on the 17th, on Friday. And then the Dominican Republic on the 19th. So that would have been Sunday. So it seems that the storm probably like went this way from west to east. And then over here in Turkey, it probably affected more areas than what I have here. And that's probably the case with most of these things that I try and track. But this is what I saw based on this article and then these posts on X. So a bunch of flooding there, cars submerged, roads turned into rivers. Earth for tomorrow, saved by a whisker. Vehicles narrowly sidestep mishap as a large tree topples in the middle of the street in the face of the storm pounding Istanbul. Some more flooding. Oh my gosh, this is the same video. Sometimes I can't tell. I'm just like going through and I think it's like 2 different videos because it's at a different part in the video. So I'm sorry about that. Here's another one. When it says Istanbul, I don't think it's talking about the city itself, but rather the region, because this says conditions in Agva, Sile, Istanbul, Turkey. And then here's some more deep water. And what looks like maybe a bulldozer or something going through. And then this is pretty wild. So the cows are scared. They're trying to get away from that, but thankfully they're safe. But over here, gosh, I don't even know what the heck that is, but oh, well, no, okay, I see it now. There's like a road. So I think this is like maybe a bridge. That would make sense. There's like a river that goes under the bridge, but look how much water is coming. And then there's the cows. All right. And then just a couple more things. China building fire. At least 26 killed and dozens injured. Here's a video of that. I'm tracking these just because I want to know and just do the best that I can to track, industrial accidents, because it may not be accidents. It could be sabotage. It could be asymmetric warfare. So there's China. And then there's also this right here. This is in Chile. Massive fire caught at a grocery plant in the Teno of Corico, Chile. So on the map, let's go over here. I'm going to take labels and borders off. So here's the one in China. And then over here on the other side of the Pacific, you have down here in Chile. And then we've had a couple in the United States already. One in Sandy, Utah. It was a chemical fire, and this was on the 10th of November. And then we had this large explosion, which resulted in a lot of black smoke in Shepherd, Texas. That was on the 8th. So, yeah. So it still seems that the flooding is kind of, well, maybe it's okay. Let's look at it. So this is November. Let me turn off November. September was like, I feel like for this year, September was the peak for all these flooding events. Because here you have, look at Europe, North Africa, right? And then over here in West Africa, South Africa, we're looking at September right now. India, China, there were some in Indonesia, and this was in Cambodia. There was a bunch, in the United States, mostly the eastern United States. There was some down in, or there's one down, well, where was this? Let me click on it. Guatemala City. There was Brazil. So like September was really bad for floods. Not so much this month. Let's look at October. October, mostly in the United Kingdom, but not really anything else other than that. There were hurricanes that hit western Mexico that caused flooding. There was some more flooding in Brazil in October. But yeah, it seems like September was the worst month. And it seems like maybe November is already a little bit worse than October was. Because we have flooding going on in Kenya, in Somalia, up here in Turkey, France, Italy, now the Caribbean, and that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, and then we have the Philippines. Davao City was hit on the 8th of November. All right, so that's where we are at right now. Okay, well, that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.